Welcome to the ring and all other sports. My name is Leo Connors, and tonight I got a very special guest. It's a two-parter, so this is part one with referee Rich Lannon.
Hey, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. We haven't seen each other in a long time, but guys, we're related. The mother of my older kids, Robin, is Rich's first cousin.
Yes.
And honestly, she's the absolute best. She's incredible.
And so are your kids.
Thank you. You're right. They are. You've ever met Sarah. I had Sarah with my ex-wife, Jeannie, and Jeannie's another great mother. And Sarah's 21, so she's a little on the wild child right now. Okay. But let's get right into it.
Okay.
When was the first time you saw wrestling?
When I was a very little kid, I would put it on, and nobody in my family would watch it. And then if I was watching it and people came over, my parents would say, well, we're only watching it because he's watching it.
Right.
But that's about it. And then when I go to wrestling shows like Boston Garden when I was a kid,
yeah,
the train goes right through Waltham and ends straight at Boston Garden.
Right.
So I jump on the train, go to the shows, and then come on back.
Nice. That's awesome. Now, what was the first show you went to?
WWE?
Do you remember?
Oh, no. I'm 62 years old
right,
now.
But what? So you pretty much the Boston Garden, was that the first show you went? Or did you go to like an indie show maybe? A killer show or something?
No, I don't think they had an indie show back then.
Okay. Right.
But it was definitely, well, WWF, or it could be WWF.
Yeah, I would bet it's that, for sure. Because you're a little older than me, couple of years. How did you end up at Killer Kowalski's school?
Oh, that's easy. I got out of the Marine Corps, and I ended up in Lynn, Massachusetts, and they had local cable.
Right.
And I would always watch local cable shows.
Right.
So then on comes a show called Wrestling Talk.
Leonard Kaplan?
Yes.
Yes! Shout out to Leonard, love him.
Ed Whittier.
Yep, Ed.
And Paul Fay.
Yes, the late, great Paul Fay.
Yeah. And they had Killer Kowalski on for the very first show. I watched it and didn't even think about becoming a referee. But then next week it was superstar Richard Byrne. The next week was beautiful Brittany Brown.
Wow.
And then the next week was gorgeous Chris Duffy. And also, I also saw people like Bad Boy, Tony Rumble.
Yep.
And after that, I started like, I can maybe go to the school. It's got to be close by.
Right. That's incredible. Great names too, by the way. Gorgeous Chris Duffy. I actually met him once at a WWF show at the Lowell Auditorium, and said, I don't know, for some reason, even though I've never really wanted to be a wrestler, I seen him and I said, I want to be a wrestler. He brought me over, introduced me to Killer. Killer told me the address of the school, and I left it knowing I wasn't going to do it. I don't even know why I said it. You know what I mean? But Chris Duffy was a hell of a worker.
The bummer for me was I just arrived in Georgia to visit my wife and son, and that's when we found out gorgeous Chris Duffy died.
Yeah, he died way too early.
And I wanted to jump back on a plane and go back, but I didn't do that. I stayed down because I was all the way down there to see my son and stuff.
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just unfortunate timing.
Right.
But yeah, Chris Duffy was incredible. Did you do everything the wrestlers did at the school for training?
No.
Okay.
I was a referee.
Right. So how did that work out as being trained?
Really got trained?
Yeah.
I trained myself at home.
Okay.
You're going to ask me the top 4 referees I like, but number 1 was Mark Curtis or Brian Hildebrand.
Yes, same person.
And he was on WCW, plus he was Jim Cornette's second-hand man on Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yes.
So basically, this is what I did. I'd get up, there's the TV set, and I'm looking, watching him, and whatever he did, I did.
Nice.
If he went down, I went down. If he slid across the floor, I slid across the floor.
Nice.
So that's when I started doing it.
Yeah, you started catching on to what you know, how to do it. That's
Yes.
awesome. That's awesome. And he's someone to really learn from. I mean, you know, another guy that passed away way too early.
Yeah, way
Way too early. He was phenomenal in the wrestling, but he even wrestled as Cowabunga.
Yeah, the Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, which I thought was great. Because Michael, my son, was a huge fan. And my son actually asked you a question
Yeah.
on this. And that's the first time I think he's ever asked a question on 302 episodes. All right. Can you tell us, like, what a typical day of training was like back then? I know it's been a long time, but.
Okay, for me,
Yeah, for you.
okay, I would get there super early. Even Killer Kowalski wasn't there. So I'm just going to add this.
Yeah.
In the first floor of the building, there was a bar, Irish bar.
Yep.
And they had the best cheeseburgers, fries, and beer.
Nice.
So that's how I started.
Right.
And then we go upstairs, and it took forever. If I went up those stairs now, I'd have a heart attack.
Yeah.
And typical training, right? I go, and usually I'm the only referee.
Right.
And that kind of killed me, but I didn't mind.
Yeah. Right.
And I do a 10, 20-minute match because there'd be interruptions by Killer. Stop,
Right,
do this,
right.
that. So say I did a 20-minute match. I jump out of the ring. And all we had was little cups of water. They had a bubbler.
Yep.
And
The little cone cups?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm here getting the water, and two people are in the ring saying, "Aren't you going to referee?" So all I had time was
Yeah.
drink that water fast,
Yeah.
and get back in the ring. And I think it was like 4 hours for each class. But Killer got there early.
Right.
So if other wrestlers got there early, we started early.
Right. That's a good idea to start early. Like we got to start early today, actually.
Right.
All right. How long did it take for you to start refereeing like matches on shows?
Right away.
Really?
Yes. I could tell you how I met Killer the day I went into the building.
Yeah.
If you want to hear that first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I went to the building, and I stood outside.
Yep.
And I was scared because it's Killer Kowalski.
Right, of course.
So people were walking by, going up the stairs. So finally, I decided to go up the stairs. So you go up like all these stairs and everything, and there was an old couch outside the double doors.
Yep.
So I opened up the double doors, and then Superstar Richard Burns' office was on the right.
Right.
But you walk past that.
Yeah.
And that's where the ring's on the left, and the chairs and the wrestlers are on the right.
Yeah.
And Killer was there, but he was in by the wall, not where he usually sits. He had his own chair with a different color.
Right.
So I walked up to him, and I go, I know I'm not the right size for a referee. Can you? And then I turned around and started walking away.
Right.
And then he jumped up and says, "You're the perfect size for a referee." And that's how I got started. And
Wow. That easy.
and I can't remember the amount that I paid. Say $1,000.
Right.
And he was paying $100 a show.
Yep.
And I made all that money back less than 6 months.
Wow, no kidding.
But the thing was, when I went up to Walter, I go, "How much do we get for a match?"
Right.
And he was thinking wrestlers.
Yeah.
So he's like, $100 a match. So I go, "Well, how many matches do I do a night?"
Right.
And he's like, 3 to 4. And I'm like, in my head going,
Yeah.
$400.
Ooh, I'm gonna be rich.
That's how much of a mark I was back then.
Right. But you know that most of the wrestlers are marks too. You know, it's really not as derogatory now that wrestling's in the open. You know what I mean?
And the first time after I paid him,
Yep.
I go, "Walter, give me a rule book." And he's like, "What? Give me the rule book." And he goes, "There's no rule book." And I'm like, then I go,
I pictured him saying it that's why I laughed.
and because I was saying I got to bring it home so I could study. He's like, "No,
Right.
there's no rule book." And I go, "Then how come on TV they say this wrestler threw out the rule book. Remember when they used to say that?
Yeah, of course. Yep.
When the wrestler went crazy, he
Yeah.
threw out the rule book.
Yep. That's funny. Wow. All right. So I know you've reffed the first matches of Triple H as Terrorizer
Yes.
and Olympic great Kurt Angle.
Yes.
What was the very first match you reffed?
Okay. Kowalski wanted me to do a freebie match to try me out.
Right.
So it was a guy called Bulldozer. He was 6'8", 505 pounds.
Yep.
His manager was his friend, Scott Shockey, and there was another guy named Eric that got killed.
Yeah.
And it was all first matches for all of us.
Right. Wow.
And that guy, Eric, never came back again after
Never
that
came back,
after that match.
Well, Bulldozer might have been a little stiff because he was I remember Bulldozer. He was a huge guy.
You ever see our matches on video?
I think I've seen some from you. I think I've seen a couple of Bulldozer matches that you've posted.
Well, we had this finish where he grabbed me by the throat.
Right.
And picked me up like that.
And power slam you?
No, pick me up.
Yeah.
And then my legs and feet are going like that.
Yeah.
And then he would throw me across the ring. And I would hit and slide.
Right. Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
But that's not the worst bump I ever took with him.
No, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Was there anyone at the start of your training who might have like helped you a little bit? Like, like maybe, like you said, how you reffed a little bit. Maybe you didn't do something right and Killer gave you some advice, but maybe some other wrestler gave you a little advice, maybe?
Well, I can't remember, but there's two people I do remember.
Yeah.
I did wrestling shows, one with Rick Martel.
Yep.
And one with Jeff Jarrett.
Wow.
And as soon as we got to the locker room, they both sat me down in the locker. It's two different shows.
Yep.
And went right through the whole match and told me everything.
Right.
And one was how to, if this guy outside the ring, and you're going to count him out, but
Yeah.
here's the ropes.
Yeah.
You count him out like this.
Right.
So the other guy can sneak through the ropes
Yeah.
and attack him.
That's wild. That is awesome. But they've told you all that stuff.
Because Jeff Jarrett started out as a referee for his father.
Yes. I'll tell you something right now. His dad just passed away like maybe 8 months ago or something like that.
I didn't hear that.
I got to meet him at the gathering in North Carolina last year, and I got to tell him that I still watch Memphis wrestling today, and it's my all-time favorite territory.
Right.
And he was like, that's the biggest compliment you give me. So I got to say that to him before he passed. And I think Jerry Jarrett's a wrestling legend.
Right.
I know you know that for sure. All right. Did you suffer any injuries?
Plenty.
Okay.
Let's just say that after every show, I would go to the doctors on Monday morning.
Yep.
And they would laugh their heads off. They go, "Oh, you did a wrestling show this weekend." And it really wasn't much. Sometimes I could have went, but I didn't go to the doctors.
Right.
When I should have, because
Yeah.
there's a couple things happen, and everybody told me to go straight to the hospital, and I didn't do it
Right.
because I was always going to the doctors, and I didn't want to go anymore.
Right. Well, what was one of them? Or you can tell us, some of the injuries that you had.
Okay. Okay, 1, 2. I got one, but I just forgot the other one. Mad Dog Rashad had a cow bone,
Okay.
and whatchamacallit, him and Bulldozer
Yep.
would fight over the bone.
Right. Well, Mad Dog Richard?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And there was a trick to get hit in the face with it without getting hurt.
Right.
They hold the bone in the middle like this, fighting back, forth.
Right.
The big parts are on this side. So they go boom, and then bam. But the big bone's on the other side of your head.
Right.
One night in Malden, Mass,
Yep.
they Mad Dog bought a new bone, and he didn't sand out the splinters.
Oh.
And they decided to fight, and when instead of hitting me sideways, they
Right.
hit me straight on like that. right on the forehead.
Yeah.
I just bounced off the bone,
Yep.
spun, landed on the middle ropes like this, and I'm like, man, you just hit me in the face, and,
Yeah.
and I can feel the blood. And so all the people in front of me are freaking out,
Right.
Because blood's like pouring down my face, and so the finish was gone.
Right.
So they decided, first Mad Dog and Bulldozer. Bulldozer spun me around, and he's like, eyes pop out.
Yeah. After you had been bleeding.
Yeah.
Right.
So they decided to bring people from the dressing room into the ring.
Right.
So one guy would run in, stop, look at me, and not do anything. And then the next guy would come in, look at me, and not do anything. So everybody's just standing around.
Yeah. No one even brought you a towel or anything?
No. And I kind of wish that they took pictures, but they didn't.
Right. And I'm sorry, it's not Mad Dog Richard, it's Mad Dog Rashad.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that I said it right. Did you enjoy working with the midgets? Or the little people, whatever, you know what I mean, whatever they want to be called.
There was a question, what's your favorite match?
Yeah.
And that was it.
Really? You
midgets.
can say it now if you want to talk about the midgets. I'll cross that off.
And short sleeve Samson
Yeah.
started his own Midget Warriors Federation.
Yep.
And he got in contact with me, but I said I can't do it anymore.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
But they don't do one little area. They do
across the country.
Yeah, all over.
Yeah. And he's very talented.
He is.
He's incredible on the microphone. He can rap. I mean, Short Sleeve Samson's a hell of a talent.
And he was the first midget that wrestled as a real person, like a real wrestler.
Yes, not as a little guy making jokes in the match. You're
Yeah.
right. Yes.
But I was sitting down by the timekeeper's table.
Yep.
And a great WCW referee, let me see, Scott Dickinson.
Yes. Local guy.
Yeah. And Scott Dickinson was doing the midget match.
Yeah.
And he did everything perfect. Hit every spot, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. So I'm watching that, and I'm going, man, I can't wait to do one of these.
Right.
And then I got to do one of those.
That's awesome.
And you do the stupid things where they bite you in the body.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you got to
yeah.
pretend that it hurts.
Yeah, of course.
But my favorite spot was the midgets would go for a pin.
Yeah.
I go 1, 2. One would throw the other one up in the ear. I'd catch him. Throw him back up in the air. He lands on the guy. 1, 2. Do it again.
Right.
So I go 1, 2. And then when he gets thrown in the ear, I catch him and then throw him across the ring.
Nice. And who'd you do that with? Like some of the midgets?
Little Louie or Dana Carpenter. Or,
Yeah.
And there was,
That's old school, both those names.
but there was other guys too. I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, did you enjoy working with the women?
Yes. I don't think a lot of referees did, but I did.
Right,
And beautiful Brittany Brown. I love doing her matches.
right. She's very talented. She was really a great women's wrestler.
But it was always Brittany Brown versus Jamie West.
Yes.
And if it was IWF, it'd be USWF.
USW, which was Richard Burns' promotion.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was always those two people.
Right.
I'm sure there was a lot of others, but I just can't remember. Right
I actually saw the couple times that I did see Brittany Brown was usually against Jamie West.
Oh, now that I think about it,
Yeah.
there was China,
Yeah.
and then there was April Hunter,
Yes.
and Violent Flame,
Yep. That was Steve King's
wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that was all of those great talents. I mean, China ended up being a hell of a work. And people go, oh, she could have worked. Baloney, man. She was really good, I thought.
Yeah.
Really good.
She loved training at the school,
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
and she was muscular.
Yeah, very
Holy
muscular.
crap.
Yeah, she's a ass kicker. All right, let's get into some fan questions. Dave Fournier wants to know, any memories of working with John Rodeo?
Way, way, way too many.
Yeah.
Because he always managed Triple H.
Yes.
And then when Triple H left, he managed Tony Roy.
Yeah.
So I always got those matches.
Yeah.
And his very first, it was in Middleborough, Mass. His very first match was he was managing the Mountie Jacques Rougeau versus Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Right.
And that's a great way to start a first
Yeah.
match.
Absolutely.
And Kowalski as the referee.
Wow. That's amazing. That is all right. And Dave has a couple more. What were some of your favorite IWF matches that you refed?
Every single Triple H match.
Yeah.
We did 20-minute matches.
Yeah.
They were kind of the same,
Right.
but I loved them.
Yeah.
And Tony Roy said this, that I hit every spot during those matches. I knew what to do.
Right.
Know where to go. I even knew how to take a clothesline, when to do it. And that was really, really enjoyable.
Yeah. Tony Royce said it right here. He put you over big time.
Yeah, I watch it all the time.
He is awesome, though. He's a great guy and a great worker. I mean, he was legitimately with the WWE as enhancement talent for years going around the country.
Yes.
I mean, that's awesome. Mike, a lot of people don't know this, but Mike Hollow actually worked as ring crew for WWF
Right.
before he started training, and Mr. Fuji was the one that said to him, Mike, you're a big guy. Why don't you train to be a wrestler? It's amazing, like some of these little stories and stuff.
And that was a smart decision.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Dave's last question is, have you ever thought of coming out of retirement to ref one more match?
Okay, I'll tell you this. I cannot bend down and touch the floor. I have to, when I go down, I have to hold on to something and think about it and then go down.
Yeah.
My hip is all messed up.
Yeah, so no more reference for you.
And the thing was, it got messed up at my work, not during a wrestling show.
Right. Wow, no kidding. Okay, Mike Crockett wants to know, do you have any specific referee training at Walters, or was it more a learn-on-the-job type of thing?
Like I said, I learned from Mark Curtis and
Yeah.
Brian Hildebrand and watching all the other referees. He kind of trained me at first. Walter Kowalski
Yeah.
told me how to be animated
Yep.
and be loud.
Yep.
When you're animated, you got to make sure the person in the last row knows exactly what's happening.
Right.
And the same thing with my vocals.
Yep.
Because I just went to a wrestling show and the referee wasn't making any noise at all. And
Yeah, and that's hard for a show. Another thing is, like, it's hard for a wrestler that comes out. Now, I've seen it. They come out and they just walk to the ring. No smile, no sneer, like nobody knows what you are. And that's the worst, right? For a wrestling show,
right.
to have no response.
And what was good about going to Killer School is I used to know that if this rest holds
Yep.
and stuff like that, that's when I kick in and go running around.
Right.
When they slow down, I go faster.
Right. Right. You
Keep
walk around the ring, keep looking at the match, right?
Keep the action going.
Right. Nice. Okay. Dan Tanaka, you know Dan, right?
Yes. I used to see him at Chaotic before he even...
Before he even got into business?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Because, I mean, he had moved to Michigan for a few years, too, and was refereeing out there. But now Dan's back in the great area of New England, and he wants to know, who is on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling referees?
Okay, I'm going indie.
Okay.
I thought about this, but Mark Curtis first. There's no one even close.
Right.
And I'm not going to name the same people that everybody else names.
Okay.
Anybody could do that.
Right.
So I really like Paul Richard.
Yep. The ECW enforcer.
He was also working for WWE.
Yeah.
And he was also Killer Kowalski's Federation's Bedlam for Boston.
Yep.
He was one of the starters with that.
Okay.
And then number 3 was Scott Dickerson.
Yep.
And he was always going down to New Jersey. And I'm like, I want to go down to New Jersey too.
Right.
And that led to WCW.
Yep.
And the fourth one, I went blank because I thought of his name and I forgot again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put in, and only as a promoter, really,
Right.
a referee, Freddie Spada.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Yep.
If it wasn't for him,
Right.
you can knock off all those famous wrestlers on the list.
Right.
I mean, Killer Kowalski gave me Triple H, Perry Saturn,
Yep.
China, Matt Bloom with 50 different gimmicks.
Right. The Mongolian was one of them.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Yeah.
And look what he's doing now. He's training people all the way down, and him and Shawn Michaels are training people down in Florida.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Like, he's been down there for over a decade training these guys. I mean, job security, hopefully for good. I do know this, that he used to come up in Elizabeth and Michael's neighborhood and watch his nephew play baseball.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Lowell. Yep.
And he used to work at the school in Peabody with special needs children.
Oh, wow. That's commending. That's awesome. That's great to hear. All right. So were you part of the ring crew when you first started? Like, did you have to like help set up the ring? No.
Mad Dog Rashad and his family, and they would do it.
Okay.
Because they were getting paid.
Right.
In some shows, I volunteered to help.
Yeah, but you didn't have to.
No, but I wanted to.
Right. Right. Of
I
course.
wanted to experience everything.
Right. Oh, I get that. Absolutely. So how long would you help them? Was it like throughout your whole career, you showed up early, you'd be helping them?
No, because I would have to go in the locker room and do other stuff too.
Oh, okay. Right. And you were like the senior referee?
That's what I became, yeah.
Okay.
That only means that you're the oldest person.
Right. Has there been matches where the finish would have to be changed because of an injury?
Well, I already mentioned Bulldozer against Mad Dog
Yeah.
Rashad with the blood
Yeah.
coming out my face. And yeah, there was another injury. Remember I told you Bulldozer would pick me up by the throat?
Yes, yes.
Well, we did one match where he didn't have tape.
Yep.
And he saw I had tape. So he's like, give me your tape. And he went real fast on both arms, and it was messy. Like, it wasn't even tape.
Right.
So when he picked me up by the throat, my thumbs went under the tape.
Yeah.
So then when he threw me across the ring, everything in these muscles snapped.
Whoa.
And I don't remember how it ended because I was out of it.
Right.
And by the time I got back to the dressing room and I was passing out, and so the only thing I could do was turn the cold water on and soak my hands.
Right.
And at that night when we were supposed to go home, they took my white tape and made my hands look like this.
Yep.
So I could drive home.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah.
That's wild. From an injury.
Yeah.
Did certain wrestlers prefer you to do their matches by chance?
Triple H all the time, Tony
Really?
Roy all the time.
Yep.
Then it works down for there. You got to give all the other referees time.
Right.
They have to have chances too.
That's pretty awesome. That must have made you feel good, you know? All right, I got a few more fan questions. Andy Miller wants to know, I pretty much probably get, which match was your favorite that you officiated in? And I guess in any territory, any promotion.
Well, I said the midget matches before,
Yeah.
but it would be Triple H.
Triple H is okay.
I've had so much fun with him.
Right. That's awesome. Jerry Lane, was there ever a match you reffed where the finish didn't go as planned?
Well, we just kind of hit those.
Yeah, so all right. Mike Cornish, nice handsome boy. Says, hi, Rich. Just wanted to say I hope you and the family are doing great. Being in the business, in the industry for 20 years, refereeing some of the best matches people have seen. What was your one moment you will never forget standing in the ring?
That is a tough one, because there are so many wrestlers and so many matches.
Right.
And I've been away at least 20 years,
Yeah.
and I really don't think like that anymore.
Yeah. Okay. No
'Cause
problem.
I have to go to YouTube and look at my videos
Right.
to remember stuff.
Right. And you do post some pretty cool videos on
Right.
YouTube. All right. Anthony Mark Balkus wants to know, what was your favorite match to rep in Chaotic?
Let's see, Chaotic. I really can't think right now. But I can tell you about one wrestler, Aaron Stevens.
Yes, who gave you a great cameo.
And we were working for WWA,
Yep.
and
Mike Spada.
yeah.
Okay.
And some wrestlers walked out of the show after that because they weren't getting paid.
Right.
So they put Aaron Stevens in. The whole locker room came out and watched them, and they said, that guy's going to make it.
Yeah.
So he was always one of my favorites. You ever see the one where they won belts on Chaotic? And
One Night Stand?
yes.
Yes.
And Aaron had Britney Spears on his belt.
Yes.
That interview was incredible because
Yeah.
he was crying. Hey, we won, hey, Britney, we won the belt.
And it was wild because you could tell Edward G. Ecstasy and Roddy Delicious was a few years older
Yeah.
than a young Aaron Stevens who they brought into the One Night Stand. That was awesome. That's like a dream of mine of having those two guys. Never mind Aaron, right? I'd love to have him. But like to have Edward G. Ecstasy and Ronnie Delicious sitting here is like a dream of mine.
They did an interview, and I can't find it now. They shouldn't have been on the show. Randy Miller booked them on the show, and
Yeah.
Randy Miller was on the show, and Short Sleeve Simpson was on the show.
Yep.
And he was pissing everybody off. The
The fans or the wrestlers in the back?
interviewer.
Okay.
So there was a kind of big fight on the stage, and the interviewer pissed his pants. Totally soaked.
It wasn't Rich, was it? Rich Palladino?
No.
Okay.
It's like Revere Cable.
Oh, so I got you.
It was two non-wrestling people.
Right.
And he kept claiming that he sat on his juice box.
That's a riot. That is crazy. All right. Raymond Roy, who wrestled as the Mountie, just says, congratulations, because guys, Rich is being inducted into the 2023 New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, which is coming up on Friday night, July 28th in Warwick, Rhode Island. Do you remember the hotel it's at by chance?
I'm sorry.
I don't know either, but you can check out Facebook, go into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame and find out exactly what hotel in Warwick, Rhode Island. Like I said, Rich is being inducted by his old buddy, Joel Davis, the real deal. So it's going to be awesome. I'll be there. I can't wait. All right. Joe Bruin. Okay.
I want to go back to the last wrestler.
Raymond Roy.
Yes. I wasn't there, but on WWE TV, he got to play Santa Claus. And Stone Cold Austin kicked the crap out of him. It was good. And
it was really good.
He was perfect.
Yeah.
With his talking.
Yep.
He had everything down good.
Yeah. Because he was a worker.
Yeah.
You know?
He was a good
and
worker.
most people watching it didn't really know it because wrestling really wasn't in the open back then.
And also when we did, people would come in and film like a TV show. Like, they would always interview him.
Right.
So he's always on my videos, like getting interviewed.
Oh, he was a great talker, Raven.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. The guy that's running and inducting you, into the Hall of Fame, his Hall of Fame, Joe Bruin. Personal memories of Walter's sense of humor. Because he did have a sense of humor.
I don't really remember sense of humor. I really remember him telling stories.
Okay.
All the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it got, like, I already heard this 10 times already, but if anybody new came in and wanted to hear it, he would
Right.
tell it all over again.
Nice.
But joking, I just can't think right now.
I can tell you a real quick one. Is I was at a show at the Everett Rec Center, and there was a piece of rope hanging from the thing, and he looked at me. I was selling my merchandise, and he looked at me and he went, pretending to hang himself from the rope,
I
which was
missed
pretty
that.
funny, because Walter definitely did have a great sense of humor. All right, Ed Hunt. You know Ed? He's a manager in APW. He's managed Mistress Belmont, Wildman Congo.
I have never got to see that federation,
Okay.
even though I wanted to.
Right.
But I really want to see him now. But my job makes me work 12 to 8 every day.
Oh, yeah.
And you get out at 12, you
Yeah.
can't go down to Newburyport.
Right, exactly.
And I'm all bummed out about that.
Right. Well, he wants to know, excluding yourself, who are your top 3 New England indie refs? Do you have any?
Basically, I already mentioned them. It was Paul Richard,
Yep.
Scott Dickinson, and there's a third one, but I just can't think of his name.
Okay.
It wasn't Freddie Spada. He was in my Mount Rushmore one, but
Right.
and his name will pop up at the end of the show.
Okay. Did you ever have to wear an earpiece?
Yes, and there's a real funny to me.
Okay.
Chaotic was the first time, and we were down south, and they made me put on an earpiece, and then it was Arch Kincaid versus Duke Dalton.
Yep.
For the light heavyweight belt. And so I get in the middle of the ring. You know how you get the metal poles on each side of the ring?
Yes.
As soon as I got in the middle of the ring, those poles turned into like antennas.
Yeah.
And I started picking up truck drivers and all kinds of stuff like that. And once the match started, I'm standing there going, what, is somebody saying something? Like, are we supposed to go home? So we ended up going home really early.
Yeah.
Duke's is like, are you sure we're supposed to go home? And I go, yeah, go home.
And it was way too early?
Yes, and it came off good because they did a roll and Duke's grabbed onto the ropes.
Right.
And of course, I don't see that. But
Yeah, of course.
And Arch was kind of mad because it was such a short match.
Right. So, yeah, they got a little heated afterwards because it was too short, in their opinion.
Yeah, but it set up a good thing between Dukes was too fat.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't have the light heavyweight belt.
Right. I remember that. Yes.
And
That's when I was going to Chaotic like crazy, when you were referee. You remember seeing me at the Low Elk shows?
And Brittany Summer hired Chris Nowinski to train him, Duke's Dalton, to lose weight.
To lose weight, yes.
And Duke's is like, Chris comes around the corner, and Duke's goes, what, you couldn't get Maven? Because Maven beat him on Tough Enough.
That's hilarious. Now, isn't Maven going to be at the New England Hall of Fame?
I got no idea.
I'm pretty sure Maven's going to be there. That's like you dropped the name. All right, when you counted the wrestlers outside the ring, did you take the forever to count to 10 route?
Not really. But you would hear me yell, like, get in the ring.
Right.
Get in the ring.
Yeah.
And then a wrestler would jump up, do that thing where they go under the rope
And
then
they go back out. Yes, yeah.
Because I'm screaming at them, get in the ring.
That's all right.
Because I didn't want to stop my count.
Yeah. That's awesome. This isn't written down, but do you remember any matches where you had to do so many false finishes that you were like exhausted after? Like, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, like 25 false finishes or whatever.
Yeah, I just can't remember the matches now.
Right.
But when I first worked for New England Wrestling Federation up in Vermont and New Hampshire, they booked me for 17 matches, and I did 7 ref bumps.
Wow.
And finally, halfway through the bumps, maybe after 4, because Mad Dog Rashad threw me out of the ring through a table.
Right.
And I walked back to the dressing room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not doing the next match. I just bumped 4 times.
Right.
You know, that looks kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And if you watch, like, remember, did you ever see the one where Tony Roy hits me in the nose?
Yes.
And the next match, you see me playing it with my nose.
Yeah.
Because they did everything so fast.
Right.
And they didn't give me time to take a rest or anything.
Right. So many matches, so many cards, you were the only ref, right?
Yeah, they had, they fired, the first one was Triple H versus Tony Roy.
Right.
And we weren't booked on the show, both of us. So we did our thing. I made Triple H look good. I kept pissing him off and yelling and screaming at him, pushing him back. He was shoving me. We were yelling back and forth. And when Tony Roy was outside the ring, he did the flip, like to
From inside to the outside?
outside to inside.
Okay, yeah,
It's
okay.
sunset flip.
Yeah.
And then Triple H grabbed the ropes.
Yeah.
I'd kick his arms. I counted 1, 2, 3 really fast.
Right.
And he was kind of pissed off. And that's his only loss
Right.
before he went to WCW.
Really? So he only lost one time?
Yes.
And it was on a fast count by you.
And then, if you watch the video, I ran back to the dressing room. I didn't even get to make the dressing room. The promoter's like, get back out there. So I had to do the next match.
Wow.
And I had no idea
The finish or
what to
anything.
do. And then later it was Bulldozer versus Paul Bunyan.
Yeah.
And Bulldozer's 6'8".
Yeah.
Paul Bunyan's 7 something.
Two monsters. You must have looked like a midget.
Yeah, I did.
That's why Paul Bunyan, I haven't heard that name in a long time. I mean, Bulldozer, I remember. I see the videos you post of Bulldozer. Do you have any videos of Paul Bunyan? I haven't seen any. That's why I'm wondering. I don't think I have.
Yeah, this one with me and Bulldozer.
Okay.
And the promoter was kind of screwing us on our pay. So when I had to do the rematch, they took me out of the rematch because they knew I was good friends with Bulldozer.
Right.
And they thought I was going to screw over Paul Bunyan.
Yeah.
So at the last second, they took me out of the match.
Ah, okay. All right. Did you ever forget a finish?
Forget a finish? I don't think so.
Good.
Because I always had everything in my head.
Right, right.
I knew this, I knew
Yep.
that, knew where to stand, all that. Knew when the finishes were coming.
Right.
And always be there.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
if I did, I don't remember that. Sorry. I keep saying that.
No, that's all right. You probably didn't. The X sign. How many times do you think you've had to do it for real? Like the X sign is for when someone's hurt for real in the ring.
0, because back then I didn't even know it existed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So no one really got hurt then, right? Like really, really hurt.
I don't think so.
Good. That's awesome.
Except for like me or something.
Yeah, right. Okay. How many different companies did you work for? I know you worked for NECW, Chaotic, Killers IWF, USWF.
NEWF.
Okay.
Oh, you said chaotic. It was AWF where I got to referee Isaac Yankum.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
yeah, he got pissed and decided he's just going to throw me out of the ring.
Yeah.
For some reason, we never had mats around the ring. So I don't know why I took the bump wrong, but the mats were moved so there was like that much space.
Right.
And I landed right on my elbow between the space. Ooh. So that kind of killed.
Yeah, I cracked an elbow falling from stripper at work, so I know exactly how that feels. That don't feel very good.
And Savannah Souza was also the AWF promoter too. They were together.
Okay. That's awesome. Hey, Sylvana Sousa, is he a lawyer now? Someone's telling me he's a lawyer or something. I could have swore I read something about him being, like having a really good career after wrestling.
Oh, I have no.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that disappear and we don't know nothing about.
Right.
The biggest one is Christopher Grand.
Who's that? See, I don't even know who that is.
He was one of the greatest managers in this area.
Really?
He could talk. He could dress up. He always dressed up in night
And
suits.
his name was Christopher?
Grand, yeah.
Wow, no kidding. I remember Wendell Weatherby. Do you
Yeah.
remember Wendell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like those two pictures I show of me with Hercules.
Yeah.
And me with Iron Mike Sharp.
Yeah.
That was a show that I was at, and I wasn't even really part of.
Okay.
I just started, so I showed up at that show.
Right.
To because my friends were wrestling on it.
Yeah.
But Christopher Grand was really good. Like, we did a cage match with Tim McNeely.
Yeah.
Versus
The Graduate.
Versus Steve Bradley.
Nice.
And
The late great Steve Bradley.
and it was a cage match.
Yeah.
And the finish got screwed. Now that I'm thinking, Steve Bradley comes over the top. I'm outside, the only referee there.
Right.
He's supposed to come down and hit the floor, and I'm not supposed to see it.
Right.
I saw it because Tony Roy decided to stop and get a chair.
Ah.
So he wasn't even close.
Right.
So then I was like, "Ugh, what do I do?" And Savannah Sousa goes, "Get back in the ring." So I got back in the ring, and Bradley was pissed.
Right.
So if you watch the video, Bradley was going to throw me at the cage.
Yeah.
So I go to Bradley, "Give me a pile driver." Way better. Give me
Yeah.
a pile driver.
Yeah.
So he gave me a pile driver, and it came off looking good and everything.
Yep.
But as soon as I went through the curtains, "You're fired," because I spent 6 months getting everybody to notice him as a face, and you just screwed up everything.
Ah, man. Savannah Sousa? He fired you? Is that who fired you?
Yeah. And
Jerk. Just kidding.
I used to travel with Duke Dalton.
Yep. Dancing Dukes.
Yeah. And but he wasn't Duke Dalton. He was Outlaw Jim Cody.
Okay. Yes.
And
That was a long time ago when he was Outlaw Jim Cody.
Christopher Grand was his manager too.
Right. Okay. I think I very vaguely remember him. Christopher Grand. That's awesome, though.
But I would go to every show with Duke Dalton.
yeah.
Finally, Savannah Sousa got tired of seeing me and says, get in the ring, you know.
Nice.
You're back. Because he was basically saying, "You're fired forever.
Right, right.
You totally screwed me."
Yeah. But he
And-
brought you back.
Yes.
All right, so I take that back. He's not that much of a jerk. Did you ever work for Bradley?
No.
Okay. I figured I'd ask, you know what I mean?
That was when
You were chaotic.
but I quit.
Oh, okay, you would quit. And the big feud they had,
Yeah. And
that was unbelievable.
I didn't want to get into that.
Right. Oh, I believe, yeah, why would you want to? Exactly.
And there was another federation called the MWF.
Dan Marati.
Yes, and I didn't even bother trying for him either because
Right.
I didn't want to get into anything.
Yeah.
If I can't work for Chaotic, why would I work for these other people?
Right. Well, I can say this now that and no will for the dead because Dan Marati has passed. But you remember Brad Johnson, Commissioner Von Johnson?
Yes.
I used to sell my merchandise at all the MWF shows and never was charged a cent. The commissioner got me in. And you know, Dan would do like if you wanted to meet the wrestlers beforehand, and he'd give books away. Beautiful, great, real wrestler books. And the commissioner would sit on the elevator and go, Leo, and he'd hand me a stack of books for free all the time. I love the commissioner, but he used to call me and talk trash about everybody.
But the commissioner used to work for us for years.
Okay.
Even way before then.
For Killer?
As a security guy.
Right, for the IWF.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And he'd bring some people with him.
Yeah, he also did some ECW shows as security in New England. So I do know that. But yeah, he liked to talk trash about a lot of people.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like, let's put it this way. It made me so uncomfortable that I stopped answering his calls. You know what I mean? Because all he would do is, and then I'm saying to myself, he must be talking about me when he's talking to somebody else.
Right.
You know? But he always took care of me. That's what I will say.
And that happens everywhere now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
At my job or, you know.
Absolutely, it does. Okay. Well, we already know you worked for Mike Spada. Did you have any crazy Spada stories? Were you there the night that Virgil was there in Nashua and he took on Rick Fuller?
I never worked a show with Virgil.
Okay. Well, this was at St. Stan's where Jeff Costa ran shows.
Okay.
So I'm there in the second row with Michael. And earlier you could hear Spada yelling at somebody in the back. Because, you couldn't help but hear, but you know how he is. So Rick, the referee gets bumped. He comes outside the ring. Rick Fuller comes over to the ref right next to where we're sitting. He says to the ref, watch this. Goes in the ring and he lifts up Virgil's shirt and Rick with the chops, lit him up, right? Virgil with the low blow, feet on the ropes, 1, 2, 3. No lie. 2 minutes after that, Virgil leaves the ring. There Virgil goes outside, still in his wrestling gear, in his bag, left.
I drove John Rodale to the Whitman Armory for a Mike Spada show. I was booked, but he wasn't.
Right.
So we both walked in the building, and Mike Spada runs up to John Rodale, goes, get out of the building, and you know what you did. And so John was spent the whole night outside. I should have walked out.
Right.
I wasn't thinking back then.
Yeah, I hear you.
And basically I left right after that.
Did you?
Yeah.
The whole business or just working for Spada?
Working for Spada, because he was bringing in people that, like the man from the dark side was not
Right.
Undertaker.
Right.
But everybody thought
it
was going to be Undertaker.
That's crazy. Like I told you how Jeff Costa used to, Kevin Nashua.
Right.
I mean, and Scott Hall is. Like Hollis to see. It was crazy. All right. Did you travel to show? I know you said you traveled with Duke's Dalton, but was there anybody else that you might have ever traveled with?
Not really.
Okay.
Because I live nowhere near anybody.
Right.
Everybody else was more in the center of Mass.
Now, were you living in Waltham around that area at the time?
Lynn, Massachusetts.
Lynn, okay.
And like now I live in York, Maine.
Right.
And I'm nowhere near any wrestling promotions or shows. But sometimes I catch rides with John Rodale because he lived in Burlington at the time.
Okay.
And Duke Dalton lived in Wakefield.
Yep.
Same place as
Pretty close.
Same place as Mike Crockett.
Mike Crockett, yes.
Yes. And they were both from Wakefield.
Right. Nice. Crockett was here, episode 300. Any road stories? Anything funny? Anything crazy?
I could talk to you about the tour from hell, and I wasn't really going to bring it up because it was just bad. We did a 3-show tour in Canada.
Yeah.
We did we're in Maine on the edge of Canada, and that show, I used to didn't hang out in the locker room.
Okay.
I wanted to hear what people thought. I even got in line with people to hear what they were saying.
Right.
That show, every single guy that came in had a knife on their belt. This is like the top of Maine.
Right.
So I had to warn everybody.
Yeah.
If you yell at people,
be careful.
Yeah.
My brother John, who passed away 6 years ago, almost 7. He carried a knife with him everywhere, and he was as tough as could be. I don't know why he needed a knife, because my brother was nothing like me. My brother was really tough.
But the bus ride, we went into Canada, and it was long and long and long, and It was kind of like the top of Canada.
Yeah.
And we did a show in a brand new arena, which was good.
Right.
Wasn't really that many people. But so we had, before that, we got to Canada at the place. We went to the hotel. They gave away the hotel to a Canadian hockey team. So we had no hockey, we had no hotel rooms.
Right.
And the hotel rooms that we did get, they were doing construction right above us, right above the room,
Right.
on the roof.
Wow. So they were bagging away when you guys were trying to sleep.
Yes.
That's funny.
But on the way back, everybody basically caught the flu.
Right.
And it was bad that I'm trying to lie on the bottom of the bus.
Yep.
And everything's rough. We hit every bump,
Yeah.
And then we got home, and I was like sick for a week.
That stinks being sick for a week. That's for sure. All right, well, listen, guys, we're going to be going into part 2 in another episode. Rich, thanks for coming on.
Sure.
And we'll be right back. We'll be talking more. And, guys, that's it for episode 1, 302. Peace. Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Listen, I could use a little help to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe. That's most importantly, subscribe. Send me a direct message, and I'll give you a shout out here on the show. My YouTube channel is real simple. It's just my name, Leo Connors. Thanks in advance. Peace.